So whatever this guy does is that start off with a decision tree, and it goes by it's either the one or the empty. And notice that everything everything comes down to like say two choices. So how many of two choices can I have? That's why 2 power of n. So I mean, of course, you have like the second value. So you went down the first value, go down to the second value. So this time around is actually asking like, do I insert 2 or do I not insert the 2? So therefore you get a 2 and this one. And another thing to take note that there's actually like a duplicate, and normally you have that duplicate. What you actually need to do is like you need to do a sorting. And what you got to do is that you're gonna like group basically 2 categories, right? So under the first category, it just simply means that you're gonna have like the 2. And on the other hand of that category is that my 2 is like not included. So as you can see, there's no 2's over here, and there's like 2's over here. And the reason why I need to fight against this is because that if I were to actually insert 2, it's just gonna like create another item that say that eventually it will have like a 1 and a 2, and in fact it's like a duplicate of this item, which is the last thing that what we wanted to actually do. And so now that we know this guy, it doesn't have this guy has the 2. So I mean it's gonna like proceed as per normal. It's gonna go to the second 2. So it's either the 2 or the empty, and obviously you insert the 2, insert the empty. And now you've gone through the third guy, now you go through the fourth guy. Now it's either the 3 or an empty. And obviously you can insert the 3 over here, and you insert the empty over here. And you come to here, is that same thing. This is like the last cycle. This is either the 3 or the empty. Obviously you insert the 3 and you insert the empty. And when you come to here, obviously you kind of like whatever you do over here is actually casting the spell of say echo forward. Basically whatever values that was like from previous, the 1, the 2 and 2 has been rejected, and what you are actually left with for this guy at least is just the 3. So it's either 3 or the empty at this point, and you write the 3 and the empty. And now you come to here, it has the options. Same thing, you will fall under the trap of saying that you have like a duplicate, so you need to group one item. So for this item is the ones that is with the 2's, and for the second item is that there's no 2 at all, because it's either there is or there isn't. So now with that in mind, we kind of like proceed. So this one is like the with the 2's, and this one is like without the 2's at all. And one more thing to actually take note is that yeah, sure that I have like say like 1 2 over here, and maybe say here like I might have like maybe say a 2 1 over here. What if I have like a 2 1 over here? The reason why this thing doesn't happen is because we cast the spell echo forward. Echo forward, it just means that whatever's from previous, you don't actually carry forward towards the right hand side of like things. Whatever happens on the left side, it's not going to happen at the right side. So activating this spell, you're preventing this 2 1 from occurring. As you can see, there's no 2 1s over here at all, because this item and this item, in our eyes, in their eyes, is that they are the same value, and we don't want this. That's why we cast the spell echo forward. Okay, with that in mind, same thing, 2 and an empty, and this group of the 2s, we're going to proceed as per normal. Obviously we have like the duplicate, the second 2, duplicate 2, and the empty, so 2 and the empty. And now we proceed to the last value, is a 3, so it's either the 3 or the empty, and obviously we create a 3 over here and create the empty over here. Same thing over here, a 3 and the empty, therefore we create a 3 over here and create an empty over here. And this guy it's not including the 2, it's not including the 1 because of the echo. It doesn't include the 1, and it doesn't contain the duplicate, so it's left with 3. So whatever is left with is either the 3 or the empty. So therefore it gets a 3 and the empty over here to actually conclude the whole session over here. Like fundamentally, whatever you see, it has to do a lot with like brute force, but it doesn't go as crazy as permutation. Permutation is like crazy because maybe say this like 1 2 that we actually discussed before, it even accepts like this 2 1 over here. They consider to be different, and that is like crazy amount of like say number of like groups that you can actually create, right? The possibilities that you can create. This one is like on the lighter of side of things, but obviously you see every single operation, it's like 2 choices. So how many 2 choices can I have? That's the question. And based on like the Leetcode question on how big the group it is, therefore like the n size, which is how big the group of a combination that I can possibly have, it's like n, the size of n, multiply by how many like 2s, like combination of 2s that I can actually have, which is all this every single items over here. In some ways we see that like whatever the spells that we are actually casting is very brute forcey in some sense, and it's like having like a lot of like lots of like groups that are being created. And when you think of this type of like items, you straight away will think of like backtracking, and we'll go under the category of like brute force. And for this case, it's under the category of actually subset. And one of like the spells that is actually casting is that it has like to follow the rule of maybe say we need to have like a distinct group. So when you actually talk about this, that means you straight away tell yourself that okay, our like category is definitely not permutation. If it's not permutation, and it's subset, because whatever subset is like saying whatever the spell it does is that it obeys the rules of saying that, oh, it will have like unique values in my group. And also the thing is this, whatever we do over here, we also kind of cast like a side character of saying that we need to do the sorting, because if we do the sorting, we are allowing ourselves to be able to like move the I index accordingly. So the moment like you say that it reaches like an item I and I plus 1 is like similar, we identify it as like duplicate, we shift the I until the point whereby the I and the I plus 1 is not the same. Therefore we know that, okay, we have moved out of like the duplicate, and we can actually proceed to use the value over here, because we use I and I plus 1 to actually identify, okay, we are stuck in like a duplicate, let's get out of here. And we get out of here, and that's when we can actually start doing the form of like calculation as intended at the later operations. Overall, like having this I thing is to actually identify whether if there's like a duplicate. So I mean like I and I plus 1, then you can say that if they are the same value, there is like a duplicate. But if they are no same value, okay, my this next value is like not a duplicate, and I want to use this value, and I'm gonna plus it into my set. So 1, I'm gonna plus the I plus 1, which is 3, or I plus the empty. That's how it works. And coming to ask like the question of like why the hell do we do sorting, is because that it's actually asking for unique values. When you want unique value, I need to actually sort it and actually do this I and I plus 1 kind of thing. So it's like falling under the spell of using the I and the I plus 1 to actually identify, okay, I want to use the until I get out the loop of saying that these two values are the same, which is over here, until we move until here. Then I'm gonna plus the value of like I plus 1 to my set, which is over here, 1 and 3. And obviously we also cast a spell of like echo forward, because echo forward just means that whatever that we have done before, we don't actually include them in. So if you were to see, is that here we've already inserted like it just follows the echo forward in the subgroups. So say here, like here is like um, the 1 2 2, right? So whatever over here that it says that it's not gonna like include the 2 at all. Basically using like the duplicate is saying that like is a what I think the main idea is this for ourselves to actually echo forward is this, that one group is going to contain the 2 and the other group is not contain the 2, and that prevents the echo effect. I mean that follows the rules of like echo effect. And same for here is that okay, it's either I include a 2 or I don't include a 2 at all, so that you prevent yourself from getting all these like duplicate values eventually. Maybe say here you're not gonna have like say a 3 2, which is also the same as like this item. You're gonna prevent that because you cast the spell echo forward. You say that here you're not actually including the 2 at all. One group is containing the 2, one group is not including the 2. So obviously here it's all about the characters as we have seen, and obviously you can use the brute force to actually fight against our main character, but in some sense when it comes to backtracking it use the rules of like brute force. You go every single possible pattern, and I think I use that as like a complementary of like they actually go together in terms of how they actually cast their spells. So obviously this has been the spells that we've been casting so far, and then our Leetcode question has this rule book of getting like this distinct groups that we at the end of the day really want to actually achieve for the most parts, right? So yep, with that everything comes to an end.